I'm Brooke Anderson in Hollywood. Showbiz Tonight starts right now.
On Showbiz Tonight, raunch on the radio. The absolutely unbelievable things one of America's most listened to DJs threatened to do to his rival's young daughter.
I would like to do an R. Kelly on your seed, on your little baby girl.
Tonight, what happened when the DJ threatened to commit unspeakable sexual acts on the young girl, and how he even asked his audience for help. Showbiz Tonight with a startling story that could be downright criminal. Let the snarking begin. Celebrity gossip sites dishing about the stars.
We're not afraid to put something up there that isn't fact-checked out, that it's just a rumor.
Tonight, we've got the scoop on the gossip sites that are giving tabloids a run for their money, and the inside story on where they get their information. Tonight, Showbiz Tonight blows the lid off blogging for stars.
I'm AJ Hammer in New York City.
I'm Brooke Anderson in Hollywood. AJ, we've heard a lot about a lot of raunchy stuff on the radio, but what we've got tonight is so outrageous, it's hard to believe it's even true.
Yeah, Brooke, trust me, it is terribly true. One of the most listened to DJs on radio went on the air and repeatedly threatened to do such sexually perverse things to a 4-year-old girl, we can hardly repeat them. The girl, well, she's the daughter of his on-air rival at another radio station.
Oh yes, I'll come for your kids.
An on-air radio battle gets personal and disgusting. This New York DJ, who goes by the name Star, is out of a job and in hot water after making on-air comments about a rival DJ's wife and young child. Comments that were sick, racist, and, in the words of his rival's terrified wife, dangerous.
He threatened to molest my little baby girl.
Star, whose real name is Troy Terrain, is a morning radio personality for New York's Power 105. A few days ago, he went on the air and insulted a rival, DJ Envy, who works for a competing station. Star then turned his venom on his rival's 4-year-old daughter, offering listeners money for information about the little girl's school.
Where does this kid go to school? I got $500 for that information.
It gets worse, much worse, and most of what Star said we can't even play for you. He continued to rant about his rival's young child, or seed as he kept referring to the little girl.
Yes, I've disrespected your seed. If you didn't hear me, I said I would like to do an R. Kelly on your seed.
That's a reference to R&B singer R. Kelly, who's accused of urinating on an underage girl in a widely seen sex video. Most shocking of all, Star seemed to delight in his sick and racist comments about his rival's young daughter and his wife, who's part Asian.
Oh yes, I'll come for your kids. Yeah. I will come for your kids. And I finally got the information on his slant-eyed whore wife.
Star was suspended Wednesday afternoon. A few hours later, he was fired. Clear Channel, which owns the station Star worked for, tells Showbiz Tonight, quote, Power 105 finds recent remarks broadcast by Troy Terrain of the Star and Buck Wild Morning Show to be wholly unacceptable. We sincerely apologize to those who may have been offended by his remarks. At a press conference at City Hall, the wife of Star's rival, Gia Casey, couldn't hide the horror on her face. Watch as she listened to Star's twisted words about her little daughter.
Yes, I've disrespected your seed. If you didn't hear me, I said I would like to do an R. Kelly on your seed, on your little baby girl. I would like to tinkle on her.
When a man says that he would like to tinkle in the mouth of your little girl and ejaculate on her face, that will make any mother extremely frightened.
I'm just outside the home of radio station Power 105 on 6th Avenue, New York City. This is where Star used to work. Now, one thing you need to know about radio in this town is that the competition is absolutely fierce. DJs taking shots at one another on the air is nothing new. But this time, many are saying things went way too far.
Vivica Fox has got to go.
Star was a true star in the radio world. His show was syndicated to 5 million listeners, and his last contract with Clear Channel was reportedly worth around $20 million.
This is all very sad to me.
I spoke with syndicated radio personality Wendy Williams, who works for a rival New York City station.
This is something that went entirely too far, according to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I'm for freedom of speech, but I'm a mother of a 5-year-old. if Star remained working, there would be mothers and people in general everywhere protesting.
Now, Star's out of a job, and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office tells Showbiz Tonight they're deciding whether to take criminal action against him.
Troy has clearly gone over the line here. He has violated, and we've talked to the FCC about this already, he has violated FCC regulations.
And hard to shock New Yorkers aren't hiding their disgust at a rivalry that went too far.
That's disgusting. I think that's completely inappropriate.
I think that's very sick. That's very sick. How are you gonna go to school and do something like that to a kid? That's real sick.
It really is just outrageous. Showbiz Tonight tried repeatedly to get comments from Star and his rival DJ Envy. Neither of them commented in time for our show. We also contacted the Federal Communications Commission. They wouldn't tell us what, if any, action they plan to take against Star. Well, here we go again. Another rock group embroiled in controversy over their music and the war in Iraq. But this time it's not exactly what you'd expect. The band Godsmack is actually catching flack over the use of their music in the U.S. Navy's recruitment ads. The group's songs, Awake and Sick of Life, have been running in television commercials for the Navy, which has some critics saying that the band's young audience will now be influenced to join the military because of the popular tunes. Joining me from Boston tonight, Sully Erna is the lead singer of Godsmack. I appreciate you taking some time with us, Sully.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, you and the band are catching this heat, as I said, because your music is being used by the Navy in the recruitment ads, so it's been suggested by some that the use of that music is going to make young women and young women just run off and join the military and go off to war, and it's been suggested that the band supports the war because you lent your music. And I know you're here on Showbiz Tonight to set the record straight on this.
Well, yeah, what I can say is that, you know, by no means has this band ever supported any war for any country, or that we support government decisions, or why we're sticking our nose in other people's business at times. What we support is our troops and the women and men that go over there or anywhere to fight for our country and our lives and protect our freedom. And I feel that, you know, we should support those causes, whether it's them just aiding with food and medical supplies and water for the tsunamis or Katrina or, you know, anything that we do. And I can't imagine any American citizen that wouldn't want to support that.
Yeah, for a long time, people have been confusing the idea that you can support our troops without necessarily supporting the war. I want to take a moment out to play a bit of the ad in question here. Let's take a look at this.
If someone wrote a book about your life, would anyone want to read it? The stories of tomorrow are being written today in the U.S. Navy. If you're ready, check out the Life Accelerator at Navy.com. Navy, accelerate your life. Now, get up to a $20,000 enlistment bonus.
I don't know. I got to tell you, Sully, I'm hearing that music in the ad. I want to get up out of my chair and go off and join the military. Now, seriously, no doubt ads have influence over people, but do you think it's ridiculous that, you know, people are actually suggesting somebody's going to go off and join the military because that music, not even your vocals, just the music is in that commercial?
Well, I'll tell you this. For one, I challenge anybody in this country or any country to pick up any of our records that we've ever recorded and find one political or government lyrical content in anything. I mean, our music has always been written about me and my life situations that I've went through, whether it was past relationships or just a boy growing into a man and overcoming life's obstacles and the emotions that I processed going through that time in my life. So I challenge anybody to try to find anything that has to do with supporting war or political issues in general. We're not that kind of band. We're just a good old rock and roll band, I guess. And how insulting is that to the men and women that join the armed forces, that they're that shallow and naive to just join the military because they heard a rock and roll song. Yeah. I think they should be apologizing to them because that makes them look pretty shallow. I don't believe that's the reason why they join at all.
Well, I would like to get your take on the idea that, you know, you've said that you and your band do support our troops. Would you be willing to say whether or not you do support our president with this war in Iraq?
I can't say that I support that because I personally am not a big fan of Bush. I'll tell you that right out in the open.
That's fair.
I don't.